All right. Welcome back to the fifth episode of the Washed Athlete podcast. So we'll just get right into it. I know that everybody probably had a good weekend, but I know Andres definitely had a very interesting week, I guess, because it wasn't really the weekend, but you got a lot to talk about.
Oh yeah, weekend started on Thursday. Me and my dad have been planning for a while now. We were talking like it's been years actually. We were saying, so next time El Salvador has a World Cup qualifier against the U.S., like we got to go no matter what city it's in. If when it's in the U.S., we're just going. And yeah, I got lucky that it was in Columbus, and as you know, we go to school in Pittsburgh, so not too far away. Was able to take the bus down there for just the day because I went at 1 a.m. on Thursday because it was yeah. So I went at 1 a.m. on Thursday, which is our first day of in-person classes. So I missed that, but I was like, okay, I have Friday classes, so I'm not trying to miss that day of classes. And I was like, I'm gonna get a 1 a.m. ticket the next day back. So I did that. It was 1 a.m. on Thursday and then 1 a.m. on Friday. So it's just a day, two all nighters, the grind for watching El Salvador play. And yeah, so I guess I'll start talking about the game now. It was at the lower.com field, which is a brand new field for the Columbus Crew. And that is probably the nicest stadium I've ever been in because it sits like 20,000. So no matter where you are, like you have a great view of the field. And we were like in the second level, like we were pushing like nosebleeds, but it was still a fantastic view and like it was incredible. And it was a good game because we were heavy underdogs and the US like their roster value probably as a whole is probably like 200 times worth ours. Like Pulisic alone is worth 40 times like our entire squad's value. And we held them to a 0-0 in El Salvador. And then it was 0-0 up until the half against them here. And they ended up scoring like the 51st minute. And then that was the only goal of the game because they could not break down our defense. And then Pulisic was also clamped up. The fullbacks were the best players, I'd say, for the U.S. And then Weston McKennie had a great game, but no, we it was a really good game. It was back and forth. Our defense looked great, and on paper we should have lost like 3-0, but we kept it to a 1-0, and that was nice because last year actually, um, after the whole pandemic, the entire Salvadoran national team hadn't played a single game at all, and we had a friendly against the U.S. So and it was an exhibition match, and it was our B team because it was our B team versus the USC team, and they ended up winning 6-0. So it's progress for going for a 6-0 in a friendly match to a 1-0 in a World Cup qualifier, and it was a fun time. It was an experience.
Yeah, that sounds super dope. I just looked up a picture of lower.com field and it is nice as hell. Like I didn't know
Yeah,
they made MLS stadiums that nice. It's super nice. I'm sure they'll play World Cup games there. When does the US have the World Cup? It's soon, 2026.
yeah. It's 2026. It's the U.S.'s share. It's like a triple host, which is the first time I've done that between the U.S., Mexico, and Canada.
That's super hype. And US was playing a lot of their guys too, so to hang in 1-0 is fun. What was that 52-minute
Yeah.
goal like? Because you come off of halftime and you're like, oh man, like it's tied. Like we have a shot to like score one goal, park the brakes, and see if we can get a win out, and then you just give up a goal right off the rip.
It was rough. I was happy at half. Like I was like, all right, we're hanging. It was good. And then 51st minute, keeper gets a save, and then it rebounds off to a guy who was just scrappy as hell. But the guy, Anthony Robinson, scored. It was right in front of him, just placed in the back of the net. He capitalized off a half chance, and that was good for him. But for us, it was rough. I was like, damn it! Right after off half, we were up 0-0. We were tied 0-0, and then just to go down, I looked at my dad. He just had this serious look on his face. I had that serious look on my face. We're like, man, but we didn't give up. I thought we were in it till the very end, but nah, couldn't get that one goal to tie it up.
That's super cool. I'm glad you had the opportunity to go. I haven't been to a US match, and I want to get out to one. What was the fan distribution like? How was the El
Oh
Salvador
yeah.
representation?
So here's the thing: the reason why I was in Columbus as opposed to like Texas or LA or Houston, yeah, like something like that, is because the Salvadoran fan base they're a big fan base, especially in like the heavily Latin city, like populated Latin cities. So like in LA, like if they played in LA, the distribution would have been like probably 80-20 Salvadoran to US. But because they played in Columbus, which doesn't really have a huge Salvadoran population, I would say the distribution was more towards like a 65-35. Because even still, the Salvadorans, they flew out here and they showed up, so it was fun. But I will say the American Outlaws, like they were passionate. It was cool. It was a cool experience. Great atmosphere.
That seems kind of scummy by like I guess strategic and kind of scummy by the U.S. then to like place it in a spot that they know there won't be as high a percentage of people in.
Well, I mean, it's a home match, so I understand that. But what they also did, they put it in Columbus because they knew it was going to be cold, and like El Salvador's it's a warm place, so they did that to work against us. But ultimately, it works against both teams because no one wants to play in freezing cold weather.
Yeah, and like soccer, I mean, I'm not gonna say having home field, home pitch doesn't matter, but it's not as big of a deal as a lot of other things. Like in soccer, you're not really calling plays; it's more of a flow game. And like unless it's a penalty kick where there's a lot of noise going on, there's just not. It's not as big of a deal as I would say football, basketball, like just these other sports. I would not say home field matters as much.
I don't know.
But Andre seems to disagree over there.
I disagree with that because when the U.S. came to El Salvador, actually it was a full stadium and they were playing like fireworks and the fans were all screaming. It was deafening. And Gio Reyna, like when the fireworks were going off, he like flinched and he looked out of it. He had the whole game like he's 18, but he looked petrified out there. Like he was intimidated by the fans.
I mean, sure, but if they're going to be loud and rowdy the whole game, then it goes to both teams. It's not like when El Salvador is on offense, they're going to be like super quiet, and then when the U.S. is on offense, they're going to be super loud. Like I just don't. I think soccer is just so much of a flow game that it's not as big of a deal. And obviously, it matters a little bit. You're more comfortable at home regardless. I don't know though. Is soccer allowed to have different field sizes per like where home or away? Like I know in certain leagues in high school and stuff, they can be within a certain dimension shape, but I don't know about like professional, like friendly international matches.
Yeah, that's what it is. There's like you have a range. Like it's a small range, but there's a range. Like you can have like a minimum size field, but it has to be like within that range.
But you can tell the difference when you have a really small field.
Oh, yeah.
If you have a smaller field, 'cause even if it's in like 4 or 5 feet on each side, it matters a lot. Like you get used to being right up on that sideline if you're like an outside wing guy.
Yeah.
And that short field matters a lot, especially if you got like a quick leg or your quick bursts. It's effective. So no, that sounds super hype. How long is that bus ride?
The bus ride. So there was about 3.5 hours with like a 15-minute break at some rest area, and then on the way back it was more like 4.5 because some lady got into an argument with the bus driver, which took 20 minutes. She was like, "Oh, I thought this was going to L.A. Why is it going to Pittsburgh?" And he was trying to explain to her that that was just a different bus, and she just would not listen. And then on top of that, there was a whole snowstorm, so I didn't realize. I was just like sitting on my phone, whatever, during the bus. Then we get out the rest area, and the ground's covered in snow, and it's just like snowing like crazy. I'm like, what the heck? And then, yeah, the bus had to go slow, obviously, and so yeah, definitely took a lot longer to get back, but we made it there and back in one day.
I could not take a bus to LA. Like that's so
I was just about to say that.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
going from Columbus all the way to Los Angeles just seems
On a single bus.
yeah. Well, I mean, it stops at stations for like an hour or two, but like, yeah, it's. I guess it's just because it's cheaper than people just can't. It's for people that just it's the airport or airplane tickets are just too steep for them.
Would that be
Yeah, but
cheaper?
it might be cheaper. I'll look it up. It might be cheaper, but I doubt it's like that much cheaper per the price. Driving definitely wouldn't be
true.
cheaper because of the gas.
Yeah.
The Greyhound's pretty. It's not that expensive, but the
Not at
experience of
all.
just being on one is just no.
It's not.
It's
It's
not
not
fun.
terrible. It's not terrible, honestly. Like, it wasn't bad. The price was great. I think it was totally worth it because it was about $80 there and back. So $30, like it was like 35, 40 each way. So that wasn't bad at all.
But yeah, for you it makes sense because like you're just going from Pittsburgh to Columbus, but from
Yeah.
Columbus to LA, that's a pretty big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
were you able to like sleep on the bus well or
um, I could have, but I didn't just because I was thinking to myself, okay, I don't want to oversleep and miss my stop or something. Like I just want to play it safe and actually be able to get off what I want to.
That's a really good point. Because, like, I don't know about you guys, but like for me, like whenever I get into a car and I'm not driving, if I'm in that car for longer than like 10 minutes, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to fall asleep like right now.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
could sleep right now.
Yeah.
You
So that
act-
was
This is
oh,
going to Vegas is quite the trip on a Greyhound. So like I chose just random dates, so it wouldn't be like super crazy, but a round trip would be about $400-ish, and to get out to Vegas would be 51 hours on the bus.
wait, it's $400 to that doesn't that sounds really expensive. Like I feel like a ticket wouldn't be that much.
Yeah,
More.
it would be leaving at 1:55 a.m. coming up on a Monday, so not even a popular travel day, coming back on just like a random like Thursday.
Oh
And
God.
yeah, and going out is way more expensive than coming back. So I don't know, like it'd obviously be that, but $400 is cheaper than flying, but for the 47 hours to come back and the 51 hours to go out, I'm not sure it would be worth it.
Well, yeah, 'cause
Actually,
wouldn't
definitely
you also
not.
have to spend would you have to spend money on like food and stuff while
Yep.
you're on the
Yeah.
like it doesn't even make sense.
That it just keeps going up. Wait, is that 400 round trip or is that one way?
Round trip.
Okay, yeah, because
Oh.
it's slightly cheaper than a plane, but not a lot. It's like it's close.
It's not worth the like, oh well I saved $20. It's like, okay, cool, bro. I took a 2-hour flight. You spent 51 hours on a bus. Like
Crazy.
I'll spend 20 extra dollars, man. It's really not worth
Yeah.
it.
Like the average cost was like 480 for a flight from Columbus to LA. Like
Oh, that's like
Yeah.
$80 because like
Jeez.
you're gonna be spending that like on food anyway. Like because
Yeah,
if it's
exactly.
51 hours, like you're gonna need to eat on the way,
The only reason would be like the experience
which
of being
would
on. If you want to like watch yourself drive through all the states, but I don't really think that is a very desirable thing.
exactly.
nah.
And I feel like the whole point with that is like that you drive through them, not like you're just like there on a bus.
Cool.
No, for sure. Now, driving there would be really expensive with gas and whatnot, but it would be
Oh.
fun because, like, if you stop in a state like Utah has a lot of like nice sites and mountains, so you could pull off to the side and like go up one or something just for fun.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I would not stop in Utah. Most of those states in the Midwest, I forget that.
Did you just say that Utah is in the Midwest?
Like the most of the
he
states.
did.
in
He
the-
did.
Okay, and then before you hit like the actual coast, I would not stop in. How
Okay,
about-
so Utah is very far west, like
Okay.
opposite ends. Like you have like the East Coast, the Midwest. It's like the
West.
entirety of the middle of the country. Then you
The
have
Midwest-
like Utah,
Salt Lake City.
then the West Coast.
The Midwest starts with Pittsburgh. Like Pittsburgh is
like
probably the
anything
most.
beyond. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, you don't realize how fast flying really is until you start, like, until you get on a plane or you start driving to those states. Because like
Yeah.
Florida can be less than a 3-hour plane ride. It takes you 19 hours to drive down there,
Yeah.
and
have
like
driven
you
that
can
way. Yeah.
leave in the morning at like 8 a.m. Get to like you can leave your house like I don't know like 7. Get there at like 9. Take a 10 o'clock flight. Be in there. Be in Florida for lunch and dinner and have a day like a little like night at the beach in one day. Meanwhile, you spend the whole day just driving there and being super exhausted if you drive. And the only advantage is having the car. But
Exactly.
car rentals are super expensive.
Yeah. Well, because that's the whole thing. Is like when I went backpacking, I went out to New Mexico and we flew into Boulder, Colorado, and it was like a 3-hour flight. So it's like it really wasn't like too bad, whatever. But like we get there, and I'm thinking like I am like in the West right now. Like this is crazy how far you've gone, and it's like it really doesn't seem like it's like that far. 'Cause it's like, and it was weird because when we're leaving the East Coast, we're technically like going back in time because we leave at like 10 a.m. or something, and it's a 3-hour flight. But then because there's like a 2-hour time difference, I think it's like we get in at like 11 o'clock. So it was the weirdest thing. It was like where we get it, it's like yeah, it's only technically an hour is only passed. It's like what is happening? Where am I?
Yeah, I honestly get some jet lag. When I went to LA a few years ago, I got jet lag. Even if it's a 3-hour time difference, like I still like it'd be like midnight. I'd be just dead.
What's the difference between going to bed at like 12 a.m. or 3 a.m.? Like a big difference. Like you go to bed at 12 a.m. Like you can wake up, get 8 hours of sleep, and wake up at a normal time the next day. You go to bed at 3 a.m. You're waking up at like 12, 1 o'clock, like Raj did today.
Yeah, you hear
Yeah.
that, Raj?
It was
Every day.
actually 3 p.m. I think when I woke up.
Jesus.
Seriously,
Whoops.
Three.
that's crazy.
Yeah, whoops.
Dude, by 3 o'clock, I had already gone to work, got like 2 meals in, and like did homework. And then I saw you texted, like, I just woke up. Like,
Jeez.
I'd already
that's
done a bunch of
wild.
I had already done a bunch of like school work and whatnot, school and work, and then exercise. Like I went on a run, and then I ate, and I went to the store real quick to buy something. Came back, started watching the track meet, and Raj was like, "I have awoken."
I have awoken.
See, it's like
I
the
don't
thing
know
you,
if I can
the,
do this
the
with
things you
sleep.
guys do when like I'm asleep and you guys are awake. I do when you guys are sleeping, but it's like 3 a.m. when I do it. So I mean,
Reverse schedule.
yeah,
Why,
basically.
though?
Except you can't function like a normal human being.
That's also
That's what I'm
true.
saying. Like, it's just, it mesmerizes me where it's like, you'll be like, yeah, I was just like doing some like physics homework, whatever. Like, oh, like, when did you do it? It's like, oh yeah, I did it like 2 a.m. It's like, what? Like, why? It's like, oh, well, that's just like my sleep schedule. It's like, oh, why is that your sleep schedule? Like, you could just move it up. You won't have to do this.
So much work to change my sleep schedule. I'm fine with 4 a.m.
You're just taking it at this point.
I'm
Too
it's
far
fine.
gone.
Exactly.
Wow.
There's one more thing I did want to say about the Columbus trip. So I'll probably explain more about like El Salvador soccer history and like that extra cycle, which we'll do soon, about just explaining to you guys everything about soccer, the soccer world. But about this, specifically the Columbus trip, I did try Raising Cane's for the first time, and Jacob has been telling me that this is his favorite fast food place. And honestly, I can say it is probably top 5 that I've had just for their cane sauce. That is the best sauce I've had, honestly.
We'll take.
Yeah. I mean, my S tier, if I recall correctly, were Popeyes, Chick-fil-A, and Cane's, of course. And has good food. Their food, like, it tastes amazing, all that stuff. Just their service is awful. Like, their service is terrible. But would say that their chicken, like, by itself is better than Cane's chicken by itself. And then and then you have Chick-fil-A. The service is fantastic. It's not that the chicken doesn't taste like good or anything. It's good. It's just like it's not anything spectacular out of this world. But then you got and with Cane's, the sauce is included. So it's almost as if they're saying, okay, you have to eat the chicken with the sauce. And when you put that sauce on the chicken, the fries, or the Texas toast, it's just absolutely insane. It's the
That
best.
Texas toast is good. That Texas
It is
toast is good.
so fantastic. It is the best sauce in the game, without a doubt.
Andre, so you said top 5. You're right now. Your tier list has Shake Shack, Five Guys, Chipotle, Popeyes, Chick-fil-A. Top 5. Which one you kicking out of the top 5 for Raising Cane's? Or
Oof.
because
That's a
Chick-fil-A is
tough
5 right now, so are you kicking out Chick-fil-A?
See, that's a tough one because
Bold move.
I might even though Chipotle is in my top 3, I might even move that out of the top 5 for this. I might even do.
Chipotle down 3 spots.
I might
Wow.
have to.
Chipotle is gonna get rocked out here.
I don't know. I love Chipotle. Maybe Chick gets the bump down. It's one of
That's fair.
Chipotle or Chick. Yeah.
But like Chipotle is like when Chipotle first came out, it was so good. Like that was the spot.
Chipotle first dropped.
Exactly. When
Yeah, when they dropped in
first
Chipotle too.
Yeah, what's
My
Chipotle
goodness.
2 going out?
But like seriously though, like when I first had Chipotle, I was like, wow, this is like the best. There's not gonna be, much fast food that gets better than this. And I feel like it's just gone slightly down, and they've had like controversies in the past, like
Just don't eat the
about
lettuce. It's
their
fine.
ingredients and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would like Chipotle is still probably. I mean, I'm assuming I have it like I can't remember what I had it at, but like assuming A or B tier at the lowest. But yeah, if you move Chipotle out of your top 5, I respect that.
It might.
Jacob,
Canes is
Chipotle
good.
was an A tier number 6, right ahead of
A tier number
Domino's.
Yeah, I mean Domino's is just where it is because it has
The
fantastic
deals. It's the deals.
They're crazy.
Dude, those deals at like when did we order those? Like 2 a.m. whatever. It was like it was late. It was late when we were ordering those.
We did
Domino's like
back to
twice
back
in the
one
past
day.
3 nights. Yeah.
Those
I've
are
never
such
heard
good deals.
anyone talk about Domino's deals as much as Jacob does. He's always like, so Domino's deals, like he's all over it. And never before have I ever heard about them.
Well, it's crazy because like if you like I have the app because for whatever like I guess fast food place I'll go to, I want to get the app so in the event I can get points, I do. So got the Domino's app and I was going to order one time. And then I saw all the deals they had, and the deals are just insane, especially if you have multiple people that are going to be eating it. Then you can have, you can distribute the cost pretty well. So, I mean, the deals are just it's just insane. So, like, not this weekend, but the one beforehand, we got Domino's like 2 out of 3 nights or something like that.
Well, that
I mean,
was
that's just
because we had
crazy.
like two get-togethers of people at different points. So it was like, oh, we're all hungry. It's really cold out. No one really wants to go anywhere. Domino's.
Yeah.
You had to like inflict the Domino's deals on everyone. Like new set of people.
Exactly.
Oh, Domino's deals. Like of course, we did it last night. We're gonna include you into the circle. So Domino's
Gotta put 'em on.
can also sponsor the podcast. Like I know we've been talking about some
Yeah.
other sponsors. NFL teams are still waiting, but like we would take a Domino's sponsor. So if anyone's
Big
out
Domino's
there,
guys.
Absolutely.
Big Domino's
Absolutely.
guys.
Oh my god! I'll take a little Caesars sponsorship at this point. I don't care.
Someone sponsor us.
Someone.
Andres.
Yes.
So with your experience with Raising Cane's, what about if you took the sauce out? 'Cause I'm a big believer in that the sauce, like you have to take it into account that if you don't put the sauce on something, then maybe it's not as high. 'Cause I'm not a big sauce guy, so I eat a lot of stuff just kind of plain, like just chicken nuggets. I don't dip a lot of sauces. Like
Okay.
I'll do Chick-fil-A Polynesian sauce, but
Jacob, before I let you speak, I will say that if there was no cane sauce, it would just be probably some slightly above mid place, but the sauce is what makes it that good. Like you have to have it with the sauce. All right, Jacob, go ahead. I know you want to say something.
Yeah, no, honestly, I agree with Andres. I mean, if you take away the sauce from the tenders themselves, they're not as good as like Popeye's tenders or Popeye's chicken at all. Like that's just that's fact of the matter. The toast still holds up, and then the fries,
Yeah.
if you dip the fries in ketchup, I think they're still all right. But I mean, obviously, they're not as good as like places like Five Guys. But the difference between Cane's and the other restaurants is that they include the sauce in each meal. With Chick-fil-A and all these other places, while it's not include, you don't get the it's not necessarily always included unless you're like ordering on the app or something like that. They'll ask you if you want it, but with Cane's, you always get it. So that suggests that you should you should use the sauce because it's included with your meal and you don't have to ask
Exactly.
for it.
Jacob,
So
you could just not order sauce. Like they ask you, like, which sauce do you want at Chick-fil-A? Like you could just say no sauce, and they just won't give it to you.
you
but it's
say
not
I want
automatically included in though a
it.
specific sauce isn't automatically included
Yeah,
in
they
the
just
meal.
give it
So
to
when
you.
you're
Because
talking
they have
when you
options. That's the point.
but with Cane's, there's one specific sauce that's included, which means that it's for the meal. You have to include it when you're eating the meal. So
Okay.
I think that
It's called Chick-fil-A sauce. They
it
ask you
is.
what sauce you want. You
But does
order
that
chicken
come with
nuggets,
every
and
meal?
it
You
does
can
for
still get
free.
ketchup.
You can
You can
get
still get ketchup at Cane's,
you
but
can
I'm
ask for
saying it
ketchup.
comes in the box. I'm saying it comes in
Like,
the
but yeah,
box. When you order Cane's, it automatically comes in it. You don't have to ask for the sauce. So you have to take that
What
into account when you're
difference does that
considering
make?
the entire. I'm saying you can't, it's difficult to separate the sauce from the entire meal because it comes with the meal, like automatically.
But Jacob, you do understand. So at Chick-fil-A, you order like
I
a sandwich,
understand that,
right?
but it's different. I
A sauce
understand that.
comes with it. You have the option
You
of
have the
whatever
option,
sauce you
but you
want.
don't have the option unless you specifically say it's
So,
not to have
no.
it.
So what I'm saying is that you can decide whichever sauce you like best. That is now what we're including in the Chick-fil-A. It's
I
not just
understand that.
default one. I'm not, and I haven't had cane sauce. I don't know how good it is. Whatever. But
Yeah.
like you can't just be like, oh, it makes it better. It's like, well, all of the sauces that Chick-fil-A has make them way better too.
You're giving a
I
leg up to
understand
a
that.
fast. You're giving a leg up to a fast food place for not having to tell them what sauce you would like. So when they say what sauce, it's like the difference right there is them being like, okay, we're not asking you what sauce you want versus Chick-fil-A is like, what sauce would you like?
How is
Um,
that? How is that like better for
I guess on a
canes?
very base comparison, sure. But no, what I'm saying is you cannot separate the Cane's meal from like you can't take the sauce out of it. It's an
Yeah, the
essential.
sauce has got to be in there.
Yes,
It's
you don't.
essential.
You. Oh my god.
It's essential. If you
It
don't
is.
like the sauce, okay, then you won't like Cane's.
Okay, so then we
Like,
have to include the sauces
but you
in
have to include the
Chick-fil-A.
sauce. That's what
then.
I'm trying to communicate to you guys.
Okay, so then we have to include the sauces for Chick-fil-A.
Not necessarily because they aren't. They don't come with the meal.
No, that's a
You
valid. I
can
think
make
that's a valid
it's
point.
not one specific sauce.
Roger's livid right now.
It's because, like, yeah, Chick-fil-A, they ask you what sauce do you want. They give you like 7 options
I
compared to one.
understand that. I
Yeah, but you don't
understand that.
have to have the Chick-fil-A. Canes, you can
That's
you
because
get the
Chick-fil-A's
sauce with the
chicken
meal.
doesn't need sauce to be that much better.
Guys, you're acting like it's physically impossible to eat the meal without the sauce. Like
I'm not.
it's
We're
not
not acting
like
like that. It's
yes,
not
you
like. I mean,
are.
obviously, it's
That's
not
what
like
you're
that.
saying. You're like they're
Obviously, it's
inseparable. You
not like
cannot
okay.
separate them. It's like it's
Okay, okay. I just like to let the viewers know. Okay, it is physically capable for you to eat Cane's without cane sauce. That is, it has happened
that's the
before.
point.
Oh wow!
But if you're
But
having it without the sauce, you're just not having Canes. Like it's not
yeah,
Canes. Like
not
Canes,
Okay,
you
and
gotta
if
have
you
the
eat
sauce.
Chick-fil-A without any of the sauces, then you're not having Chick-fil-A. That's the
it's still
logic
no.
you're
It's
doing.
still Chick-fil-A.
No.
It's still Chick-fil-A.
Oh, I
The
think that's like
difference-
I feel like that's an indictment on Raising Cane's. Then the fact that the only way to eat their food is with the sauce, or else it will just be mid. That's a bad like brand for like you could eat a Shake Shack burger without the Shack sauce, and it's still fantastic.
Yes, but you haven't had this sauce, Justin.
The sauce is that good, I will say. I
You
can
have
vouch.
not
I
had
can
this
vouch.
sauce. This is the best sauce in the game.
Yeah, but
Like-
Shack sauce is really good. But like if you take it off,
It is.
it's still a really good burger. But you're saying the chicken is mid if you don't have the sauce. That's like terrible. Like, what about they just forgot the sauce
No,
and you were in a
actually, no,
drive-through
no.
line? Now you're eating crappy chicken.
They don't. I've
No,
never.
the
I've
chicken's
got-
actually not mid. The chicken is pretty good. It's like everything, like the fries included, like that's pretty mid. But
Now they're changing their opinion on the chicken just to
no,
compensate.
no,
Okay,
no. I
First
said
of all,
the
you
whole.
said they are.
I said
I
all.
haven't changed my
First of all, I said all the food, like overall, would probably be mid without the sauce. But the chicken itself
Look,
is pretty good. But fries
Jersey
included and all
Cane's
that.
an
It's like,
hour away from here. The three of you have not had Cane's, correct?
You can drive us there. I've told you this before.
If you guys really want to just, make your decision on Cane's, we can go to Cane's. I've had it before. I've had Chick-fil-A before. That's my decision. I think that Cane's is better. I think Cane's has the best sauce in the game. My opinion on the tenders isn't going to change. Popeyes has better tenders than
Popeyes does
Cane's,
it. Yeah.
straight up without sauce. But when you're eating Cane's, if you don't eat Cane's with sauce, you're doing yourself a disservice. Like it's
Good.
essential to the meal.
But if we're comparing fast food joints and only one fast food place can have a sauce while the others can't, that kind of takes away from the others and just gives Cane's an advantage.
No, because it comes with the box. No.
So did Chick-fil-A.
Yes,
They
it
asked
It's
you.
in the bag.
Raj,
But it's not a
Peter, and
mandated
Justin,
thing.
if you guys don't understand until you have had the sauce.
Okay, you're acting like okay. Look, I'm sure it's a great sauce. I'm not gonna deny that. Al, I'm sure it's incredible. I'm sure it's probably better than all of the sauces at Chick-fil-A. But you can't just be like, well, it has sauce in the box, therefore it's part of the meal. But
Okay, I'll
because
go as far as to
Chick-fil-A's
say
comes in a
I have-
bag, it's not part of it.
Okay, I'll go as far as to say this. If I were to have Chick-fil-A with the Chick-fil-A sauce or any sauce that they have there, as opposed to Cane's with the Cane sauce, I'm still picking Cane's over Chick-fil-A.
That is a valid take.
That's a valid point.
The entire purpose of what we were doing here is that your logic was so flawed in how you were explaining this. That was
To make
the
it- to make a
only reason
comparison.
why.
Because you guys haven't had it though. You guys have not had it,
This
so you
is
don't
like
understand.
this is like you being like you go to like there's 2 wing places. One's Buffalo Wild Wings. They got tons of sauce options. One other wing place you can't get anything else but this one wing sauce. and you go to Buffalo Wild Wings, and you're like, man, you have to ask what sauce you want on those wings. But this other wing place has got great sauce. You don't have to ask for it, so they're better. But I hate asking for the sauce at Buffalo Wild Wings.
It's
It's
not like
essentially
if you
what
want
you're
to do,
putting
if
it
you
down
want to
to.
do a very I guess like talk about how my argument was constructed, sure, but that's not what I'm saying though. Like, and maybe that okay, maybe should I say that's not what I mean? Is that like
I,
is that
I,
what I
I
should
guess
say?
you really went for it on this cane sauce. Speaking of
Because you
Chick-fil-A,
guys haven't had the cane sauce. You need to try the cane sauce. Like,
I'm sure I would love to try Raising Cane's, but just the fact that you were talking about how you have to ask for it, like it doesn't come with the meal. It does come with the meal. They ask you what sauce you want.
I'm
I guess
just
what
done
he's trying to
having
say.
this conversation. I'm
I
done
think it's
having the
just because at
conversation.
Canes. Listen, I think it's just because
You
at
guys don't
Canes it just
understand
comes
it.
with it. Like no questions asked, just comes with it. Like
Yeah.
it's just, yeah. I think that's just all it is.
But
Anyway,
when
I
you're
think
like making your tier about it, like
Okay,
no, I'm
I
not
am
done with
so
this.
done with this
I'm not.
conversation.
I'm not.
all right, come on, Rod, let's
I'm
go.
just
Oh,
saying. No, Rod,
Jesus.
Raj,
what I'm
let's hear
saying
it.
is
Raj, let's hear it.
when you're making
Raj
your
is about to
tier
fill
list,
his
then if you're gonna
sound
compare
file.
Canes, so you're saying if you're making your tier list, you're ranking Canes at a higher tier because of the sauce. But if you rank Chick-fil-A and like other fast food joints along with it, are you including the sauce for the other fast food joints too?
I'm including everything about the fast food place.
There you go. Yeah.
About that for the overall tier list. But if I'm just gonna go 1v1, and I'm just gonna get like the if I'm gonna just get a regular meal, nothing else like with the meal, then like what will come with it. Like I'll get every sauce. Okay, you know what? Screw it. Just for the sake of argument, I'll get all the sauces from Chick-fil-A, and it won't make an impact. It won't make an impact. But with Cane's, you get the cane sauce in the box. You don't have to ask for it; it's automatically supplied.
It's
I
automatic.
understand your argument. I see you guys going, ha ha ha. No, we're like that. I've said what I've said. You guys aren't going to change my opinion on this. I said a little bit ago I was done with
Jacob,
the conversation. Is it time to
no
move
one,
on?
Jacob, the entire point of this, no one is trying to change your opinion. It's that the logic you're using makes no sense. That's
Well,
the
you need to
point.
try the canes. Then
Okay?
you need to try
No
the
one
canes.
is denying that Canes is better, worse, whatever. We're saying the way you're explaining this makes no sense whatsoever. You're saying because the
You
sauce
haven't had. You
comes
just haven't had it.
because you're
You
saying
haven't had it.
because the sauce comes in a box versus Chick-fil-A that comes in a bag. That's the difference. That's what you're saying.
That box sauce, man.
That's not. That's just not what I'm saying. I.
Then
That's no. That's not what I'm
because
saying.
I gave you the floor, and the time that you had, that 1 minute you had to just speak your mind. You felt the need to mention that Cane's sauce came in a box. There was no reason to do that. You could have just been like, the whole Cane's experience is better, but you felt the need to mention the sauce. But I think we're gonna pivot off this topic because I don't think
please,
it's gonna go anywhere.
dear
I
God.
I think we need to talk about how crazy Pittsburgh and specifically Oakland
Oh my
has been in the
Jeez.
last few days. So for those who have been listening, it's kind of a national story. Our bridge in Frick Park just collapsed yesterday. Just broke right down the middle, big divot, like cars on the bridge, just
Yeah,
no
yeah.
implosion, just actually collapsed. Like something that you see like on news stories like every so often, and you're like, holy crap, like a bridge collapsed. But literally, we ran there yesterday, like 2.5, 3 miles away from here.
It's like
Yeah,
straight out
that
of a
was
movie.
wild. And was it okay? So wait, I'm very confused as to what the scenario was. Was Biden in Pittsburgh talking about infrastructure before or after the
I think that's
bridge
what it was.
collapsed?
I think
It
it was
was
before.
after. No,
It
no,
was
it was
after.
after.
Oh.
It was after.
Okay.
Because he arrived in Pittsburgh a couple hours after the bridge collapsed that day. Yesterday. Yeah.
Okay, so he was talking about infrastructure after
Yes.
the bridge
After the
collapsed?
bridge went down.
Okay.
He was actively coming to Pittsburgh to talk about infrastructure. This was a done deal. Like he
The
was speaking in
bridge
Pittsburgh.
collapses hours before
okay.
he
It was
arrived.
just yeah, it was coincidental. Okay.
Oh
Well,
my
What a
God.
coincidence.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, quote unquote.
Right.
We're not a
Yeah, 'cause
conspiracies. We're
it
not
was
throwing that around, but a little sus, if you ask me.
it was wild because that happened an hour after I arrived in Pittsburgh off the Greyhound. So like
Did you go across that bridge?
No, I didn't go across, but I
Thank
just woke
God.
up to like several texts from my parents saying like, "Yo, are you okay? We heard about a bridge that broke and the bus was on." And I was like, "No, yeah, I'm all good." That happened an hour after I got here, but like that's just wild.
I
Yeah,
ran
mean,
across that bridge on Monday, which
Jeez.
is like wild to think that it's just like it's like I don't know if you guys. I don't think you guys have seen it up close. It is like extremely like steep down the middle. Like it's just completely. Like, it's not like it like kind of crumbled a little bit, but like it is steep and it like just broke right down the middle. Just caved right in.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's completely destroyed. Like there's no way they can even like try to like buff up the supports and just like fix it. Like they're gonna have to rebuild a whole entire new bridge, and that ravine is really deep that it fell into.
That is like actually terrifying. That's like we have all of this infrastructure, and especially in Pittsburgh, where the city of bridges or whatever, because we have
Yeah,
like what
exactly.
500. Like I don't even know where some of these bridges are.
Well,
But the fact where it's
499
like
now.
that's what I'm gonna say. It's like
Oh my
it's just
goodness.
like out of nowhere. It's like yeah, one of the main ones, yeah, it's just gone, like completely collapsed. Like no one was taking care of it for however many decades, and because some of the bridges have been here for so long like that it's just like yeah we're not going to maintain it, we're not really doing any upkeep. It's like oh so we're just like waiting for these things to break and you're just hoping you're not there when it does.
Yeah, infrastructure is definitely something needs some work here because we talked in a few episodes how the roads like just aren't paved or anything. Like definitely a lot of Pittsburgh. We need some improvements.
Well
It's
Raj is
terrible to
like
drive here.
Raj, aren't you an honorary member of like Pittsburgh Public Works?
Yeah, Raj, it's on you.
The other day, I go into the garage I park my car in, and I there's this little bin where you can get salt to like ice to like de-ice the roads and stuff. I took it into my own authority just to de-ice the entrance to my garage because I was tired of driving over it every day.
And mind you,
Just
this is
snow
not
covered.
like your garage, this is a
No.
pit
Yeah.
garage that you
Yeah.
are doing this.
I ran past your building like the day after you did that, and it was like super like non-icy and whatnot. And I was like, I appreciate you, Raj. Like this is a nice area to run across. You did a good job.
Yeah, you're part of that
Yay.
$2.8 billion budget that Pitt has. Yeah, part of
Yeah.
that's Raj's unpaid labor that's going towards de-icing the sidewalks.
Oh my goodness, man.
The infrastructure is embarrassing. Like the fact that like no one was doing checks on the bridge. Like I know it's like kind of a freak accident, but also like it didn't just like it wasn't like something broke or like a railing. Like the bridge actually collapsed. The cars are at the bottom of a ravine. Like people could have easily died if there was anyone under the bridge. They would have died from like if like it is embarrassing. Like there's bridges in Europe that have been standing for like thousands of years, and I know they're not heavily trafficked, but they still been standing for thousands of years when people did not have like technology to build. There's like this bridge has been up I think since I was hearing yesterday like 1970. That's not even that old. Like 1970, there were cranes, there were like was machinery, like very possible to make a solid bridge, and I just can't believe that something is collapsing like that. Like there's all this talk about like making like electrifying America, like electric cars, like using electric like trains and buses so that our transit is more like climate friendly. But I mean you got to keep the bridges up first. Like, I'm so for all the pro like infrastructure, especially with electricity going on. But like, man, you got to make sure your bridges stand because you can't have people like if people had died yesterday, this would be so much worse than people are talking about it today, like nationally. Like it was already a national story, but if people had died, this would have gotten more attention, which is sad because like people could have very easily died. We're lucky it happened at like 6 a.m. when people were on that bus as much.
Yeah, should
Yeah,
just not be happening.
Mhm.
because I think the whole thing with it is like it's not just like okay, like because like what you're saying before, where it's like yeah, some bridges have been there for like thousands of years and they're not heavily trafficked. Like there's like that whole argument, but the whole thing is like this was built in the '70s. We understand like the technology that we have now. We can look at the bridge and say, hey, these support beams aren't working, or like this slowly isn't really like coming into play, or this part isn't really like that stable, whatever. Like we could easily recognize that if we're looking at it and actually try and maintain it. But it's because it's like, oh, we built the bridge. All right, forget about it. Never look at it again. It's like, obviously, it's going to collapse eventually if you don't do anything. Like that's just how it works. And the fact that it's just like, I mean, that's just like infrastructure all over Pittsburgh. Because like, wasn't there lead in some water for like a while in Pittsburgh? Because like the pipes
Yeah.
are just like hundreds of years old. Like, and they're just like,
Sounds like
yeah,
Flint,
just
Michigan.
exactly. And it's just like, yeah, just don't drink out of the tap water. Use a Brita. It's like, what? why don't we have water that we can drink? Like, this is a major city in the United States. So it's like, yeah, the water's a little bit sketchy. It's like, how? How is this possible?
And a relatively newer city too. I mean, like you look at like trends through history. Like Pittsburgh is kind of coming up from like the steel industry and like the collapse. So like a lot of more of our buildings are newer than like cities like there's very old areas in like Boston and Philly and some of these older type of cities. And did I say New York? I don't think I said New York. New York as well. Pittsburgh's a relatively new city. If you go downtown, all those buildings are a little bit nicer than some of the other cities, and like Oakland, where we live, is very new. Like it kind of like started really coming forward in like 1960, 1970 area. Like our city is already has all these problems. There's so many other cities, like the Midwest cities, that are probably have all these other issues that are worse than ours. And it's like, come on, we gotta get our crap together.
Yeah. It's wild. It really is. Because like you're just like looking around, it's like, this doesn't look right. Why is no one doing anything to stop this? And it's like, well, I don't know. Like that's just how it is here.
Yeah, you'd think one of America's major cities would be on top of this.
You would think.
Yeah, and then like coming from Jersey, like I mean, when me and Andres came back to Pitt, the first thing we noticed was, wow, they did a terrible job here of like shoveling and everything, and like
Yep.
like with Jersey, I don't know like what their whole deal is with like the snow and everything, but like usually the roads are just like clean in the morning after it snows, or like even like if it starts snowing during the day, they're clean by night. Like I just don't like understand the difference between like Jersey and PA like that.
Our small
Right.
towns on top of it.
Yeah.
Even like I know today Jersey's a little bit more rough because we got like 9.5 inches of snow back there. So I know that some of the roads are a little rougher than they usually are. But if you get anywhere between like 4 and 5 inches of snow in Jersey, I feel like it's pretty well plowed within like 5 hours of snow stopping. Pittsburgh was not like that, and I don't know if it's just a Pittsburgh thing or if it's a city thing, but like that was bad. Like you'd be just walking through slush, like slipping. Like I was even just talking to my dad before recording this, and like one of the popular areas that people like to run is the Oval. There's a little track up on Shenley Park, and a lot of people like use that to like walk around and get exercise. No one like had a plow or anything that they could have like gotten some snow off of it and just like iced it. Like one of the again like just people like we were trying to like encourage people to go outside and exercise and like get some fresh air and whatnot, especially in a pandemic when people are still working from home, and not one person can like from like City Works or whatever like have the money to pay someone to go in and take a golf cart, put a plow on it, go around the track real quick, lay some ice down, and move on. It was like still super icy. I think today some people were shoveling it, but they might be just random people who were fed up with it at that point.
Exactly. Like Raj.
Yup. Hard. It's the worst part is like it not only does it affect like people who are walking, like people who are driving. Like some cars are like they can't handle like driving, or like some cars don't have winter tires. Like for my car, whenever I would drive, like whenever Andres is in the car, we hear weird noises sometimes. Like I don't know, like if snow's in my brake pads or like if something's wrong. I still haven't gotten a car wash here yet, so I need to like get on top of that. But
How old is your car again?
it's a 2016. That's what concerns me.
Oh, that's not
Yeah.
that old. That's like
Yeah,
what? That's like 6 years old.
Yeah, and the brakes are relatively new. Like I'm pretty sure they were replaced recently too, maybe like 5 years ago. Like I just don't understand like how poorly managed the snow is here because it just affects everyone.
Yeah, I mean the weird thing though is like it's definitely a Pittsburgh thing because I feel like in New York City, like you almost never really hear about like, oh yeah, the city shut down from the snow. It's like no, they figure it out. Like that is one of the most congested, like nasty cities. I love New York City, don't get me wrong, but it is a mess sometimes. But when it comes to snow, they can figure it out like instantly. They have plows going through. They're able to get all like the ice off the sidewalks, everything. Like it gets figured out, and
Yeah,
that's in New York City. Like
like we're not
we can
like we're
figure it
not
out
in
here.
Texas. Like I
Exactly.
remember when Texas got 1 inch of snow, they lost like they're like, whoa, what do
Oh
we do?
yeah,
But that kind
We're
of made
Pittsburgh.
sense though, because
Yeah,
yeah,
like
exactly.
that does make
we live
sense.
in the
Yeah,
Northeast. Like we're used to snow, so I don't understand how we don't have any like plans to like actually
yeah,
decently shovel everything.
'Cause Pittsburgh is like it's known for being a cold winter city. Like that's like what
right.
it's
Yeah,
on. It has the three rivers right around it. Like we get the wind chill coming from across. It's always cold. It snows. I don't know how we don't just have plows. Like it's insane.
yeah, it's
Like
ridiculous.
wild.
Peter, do you want to talk about the other eventful thing that happened in Oakland?
Speaking of
and
wild,
Pittsburgh?
yeah.
Lots going on.
Actually, yeah. So of course, us being college students, we are in the midst of college city. There are some bars that are on campus, whatever, and there are people that do go out to those. Obviously, not us because none of us are 21. Want to make that very clear. Um, but what happened this weekend was I'm actually not going to dox the bar because I thought about saying that. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. But so there's a local bar on campus that is very notorious for that's where every underage kid goes and drinks, whatever. And usually like there's always kind of like the thought in the back of my mind, like, oh, like what if the cops show up? What if they start actually checking IDs? Like whatever. And it almost like it never happens. And it's usually like maybe once every like 2 or 3 months, something like that, that the cops actually decide to show up. But this past Thursday, um, so I know it's basically a friend of a friend of a friend. Sure, I don't even know what the association would be, but this guy was at the bar, underage, and he's sitting at the bar, and he notices to his left there's a woman that keeps looking at him across the bar, and he kind of like looks over. She's like older. He's like, all right, that's weird, and like he's just like sitting there, whatever. And then he goes to the bathroom, and she follows him to the bathroom. He opens the door and is about to go in, and the woman stops him, like taps him on the shoulder and is like, "Let me see your ID." And he's like, "What?" He's like, "Why am I going to show you my ID? Like, who are you?" And she pulls out a badge, and it's a police badge. And he's like, "Oh, I need to go to the bath. Like, can I go like pee first?" And I guess he like just goes in the bathroom for a while and like kind of like keeps peeking around the corner to see if she's still there. Eventually, she leaves, I guess. But I guess the police had set up like a full-on sting operation to see if there were underage kids at the bar before fully raiding this place. Like there was, I think, 4 or 5 cop cars with like obviously 2 cops per cop car. So there was like 10 to 15 cops at gonna dox that one. um that's gonna get dumped. But exactly. So I guess they had like cops go upstairs, like all the way to the back, and like so people couldn't leave out the back door. They had the back doors covered. It was like full on, like they were busting a drug cartel. Like they were going hard at this place, trying to get everybody like on a like what is it, minor intoxication, whatever the actual
An
charge.
underage.
That. Um, so it was crazy apparently, and I guess it also got rated last night again. That's what I
No
heard.
way.
Is that
Oh, I
because
didn't.
the whole thing? I
That's
made the joke like, "Oh, wouldn't it be hilarious if they were like, oh, you all thought you were safe because you weren't." Gonna need to dump that again. I need to get that out of my notes. Yeah,
Don't worry about
but
it. I'll just keep getting a funny soundbite over it.
that's hilarious. But so I guess it got rated again because I obviously I made the joke like, oh, wouldn't it be hilarious if the cops showed up 2 nights in a row because people thought they were like, oh, well, it got raided last night, it won't get raided again. They show back up. Apparently, it did. Apparently, they legit were like, oh, haha, you thought you were safe? No, I'm showing back up again. I got raided again 2 nights in a row, which is just like absolutely wild. Like the fact that this is like a consistent thing now on campus, like I don't even know what to do at this point. Like because so many people are like, "Oh, well what do we do now about all this?" It's like, dude, just don't go. Like I don't know what to tell you.
No, I think it's funny because there's like the two schools of thought that people are currently talking about. There's a school of thought of, well, it just got raided. We can go now. Like it's not going to happen again. And there's other people who are like, oh my God, it got raided. We can't go back there. It might happen again. And it's like, I've never been, so I don't know like what the right school of thought is. But it's just funny hearing people make this like decision. Cause I'm like, how about you just like don't go out to a bar underage with a fake ID? Like it would like you'll be okay. Like you'll survive the one weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I know we don't have to like deal with this issue, but I mean, I just don't understand how people can't just decide to not go out. You know, it's not that. Like, I feel there's no way it can be that difficult. Like, I feel like, I mean, we don't go out and we have other fun ways of hanging out. We just like watch like a movie or like play Super Smash Brothers
You can
Ultimate,
eat sushi
or go
Oh
to
my!
go get
Can we go
sushi.
back? Can we go back sometime? I'm so hungry.
next weekend.
I'm sorry, I completely derailed your thought, Jacob.
It's all good, but yeah, I mean, we should go back, but I mean, I just can't. I just don't get like, I guess how it could be that difficult to just not go out to a bar, especially when if it's gotten rated as recently as it had, and then they go out the following day. I feel like that's just dumb.
No, it's just funny. I'm like I wish I could see like an overhead, like if there was like a helicopter filming, just like as like one like as soon as one person was like, okay, like I have as one of the one cop that was like undercover. As soon as they had the like one
Yeah.
suspicion, just see all the other cop cars fly around, block the exits, like just pure chaos start, like just all in that area, right on that street, just like all like I couldn't imagine like walking down the street, just be like, what the hell are all these flashing lights over here? Like something's going on.
Exactly. It's like you would think that like a drug cartel is being taken down from like the inside, where it's like a legit thing. It's like nah, there's just like some freshmen out here that are at a bar that look like they're 12 years old. They're getting written up.
Also, a bunch of friends I have that are of age were talking about it. They're like, this is gonna be great. Like, it's gonna be empty. Like,
Oh,
we can just go.
yeah.
We can go in, and if like they want to try to bust us, like, hey, here's my ID. Like, I'm 21 years old. Like, no big deal. So it's just funny. But I wonder if this bar is getting any like citations or whatnot because I
I don't know how
I know
that
they have.
works.
I don't know how it works either. I obviously don't own a bar, so I don't know how it I don't know how
It's
that
like,
exactly
would
works.
you
But
get in? Yeah, because like, do you get in trouble for like, I guess, like getting scammed by a fake ID? Like, how? Like, do you get punished for that? Like, I don't know how that works.
I mean,
Yeah.
considering the amount of times it's happened in the past to not just that place, but many other bars around Oakland, like I don't think that maybe they might get a fine, but that's about it. I don't think they would shut them down or anything. Well,
Yeah, I mean that's well, we yet to see. That's still might be to come. But
there's a
yeah, I guess
third sting operation in 3 days.
Yeah, we got to see tonight. Let's see. That's all. Just like we'll just sit. Oh, we can go and just like sit there and just like we'll
with
see.
with the binoculars, just like
Binoculars.
asking if we can sit on the roof. Like we know it's cold, but we just like we want the vantage point.
With
Yeah.
like those like fire like heat warmers, like whatever things that they have like up on the roof. Just like
Yep.
oh no, open the doors. We want to go up there. We want to see.
Yeah. No, you don't have to serve us. We just want a vantage point
We
to
just
just
want to
like
see. It's like
the
oh,
whole
are you
night just taken
sure?
out.
It's like, oh, well, like you have to like order something if you guys like want to stay up here. It's like, oh, okay, cool. We'll order food. Just you can just leave it at the door. You don't need to come out. We'll stay out in the cold. Don't worry.
Two things. So, simulation, of course. What if the cops were up at that like spot? So when the kids started running out of the bar, they would be able to see them and like possibly track them down. That would just be absolutely crazy.
Okay,
But
what are they gonna
they, they
do
would,
if they
they
see
would,
a kid? They just point at them like that one.
yeah,
Yeah.
rage.
but
Anyway, but no, because
Yeah.
what I was thinking was like because when you're talking about like the cops just up on top, like they just like
yeah,
they're just looking down, pointing at these kids. I was also thinking like, do they have like if it was like a full on raid where they would have like actual like riot control gear, if they have like the pepper ball guns like on the top to try and slow them down.
This sounds like
Hon-
a Call of Duty mission.
Oh
yeah.
my
If
god.
honestly, if there's anything like if tonight or something like this bar gets like just get like tear gas thrown at it and stuff like I'm just gonna quit. Like I'm just gonna be like, you know what, this bridge collapse, these raids, like I'm out of here. Like it's too
Cars get
much.
raided. Burn
Like
this city to the ground.
what's next? They're gonna come into like the learning classrooms and just be like tracking.
That'd be
It's just fun.
so. Imagine you're sitting in lecture and the cops kick down the door and like just drag some kid out of his seat out the door. Like we have a warrant for your arrest.
Imagine getting dragged on the Chevron steps.
Oh my god.
That is the steep hill up to the science center, just like getting dragged down it because like the cops saw you leave after
Oh
it got
my
like
God.
it got blown up. But no, it's funny. It's just funny to see the reactions around other people, people who have been involved in the raid, people that left the raid, people that are like nervous about the raid. It's just funny to see the whole reaction because it's just
Yeah,
like not a big deal, but people are making it to be a big deal. It's like
exactly. It's just like just don't go.
be,
like
yeah, be responsible and don't do things that are illegal, and you wouldn't have to worry about it.
like or hey genius, if you're gonna do something illegal, why are you doing it in public? Like if you're gonna drink underage, why are you going to a bar where you're going to get caught? Like Jesus. It is yeah, it's definitely really interesting. But I mean, I wonder if other like I mean, it has to be in other like college towns and stuff that like other places get raided because this is like really the first time that like I've ever heard of like bars legit getting raided. So it must just be like this everywhere. But like just coming to Pittsburgh and being like, oh yeah, you know, like that bar that some people were at, yeah, it got raided. I'm like, what? It's like yeah, like 15 cops just showed up and just started taking people's IDs. It's like, oh, that's the scariest thing I've ever heard.
And it's just been piggybacking off of like these online classes and whatnot. Like we've been online, we just started coming back in person. It's like bridge collapse, bar raid, like right next to all of our academic buildings. It's like, well, welcome back. Like this is
Oh,
this is
welcome to
nice.
Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Gotta love it.
That was also the
Gotta
first
love it.
of in-person classes too. So
It was the
yeah,
first day. I forgot about that. We just got back to in-person classes, and then immediately the bar gets raided and a bridge collapses.
gotta love Pittsburgh.
Oh god.
It was like it's funny just because this stuff doesn't happen much. Like there's really like not much like drama out in like I mean like Philly and New York are these much bigger cities than Pittsburgh is, and like we're not even in like the downtown area of Pittsburgh. So like really like it's not like crazy. It's not even like a crazy college town like some of the more southern schools. It's just like this one specific like 2 day sample has just been wild for like our little college town area, and
Yeah.
and you're just like sitting here like this is crazy.
Yeah, because Oakland is like it really is like a really nice area to be in because like it's a city, but like it still feels like a campus, whatever. It's not like South Side, which is actually a pretty rough neighborhood to go down there because like those places get raided not because of underage kids, they just get raided because there's like they're selling drugs at the back door, like there's money laundering going on,
It's just a
there's
bunch
like
of
some
crime.
it's just crime out there. But for all of that to then just like, oh yeah, by the way, it's all now in Oakland. It's like, what is happening?
Anyone got any other takes on the eventful, I guess eventful Thursday in Oakland, Pittsburgh?
Yeah,
I
Thirsty
just
Thursday
like
was wild.
it was just so much fun going on. I don't know. Yik Yak's coming back, and it's like it's really predominant in like college towns and cities. But like on Yik Yak, like when I found out, that's how I found out about the raid at the bar through Yik Yak. Because I was like refreshing it, and I remember telling Andres, I'm like, dude, you won't guess what I just found out. And like when I told him, he's like, no way. And then I'm just reading through all these messages, and there's people like making jokes about it. There's people saying I survived, and they're like making it into a huge deal. Like I survived the raid at the bar I was not supposed to be at. Like, good job. Like, nice. It's just
I
funny
So
to
survived.
everyone's reaction.
I
it's the
survived
book.
like the I survived my New York like trip. Like they'll sell it like some
Yes.
random street corner in like New York, and it's like they're gonna start doing the merch. So, like you know it's coming. Like Pit Barstool's like starting to cook something up. Like
I mean, if anything, we got to trademark this now and then send it to them, so that way they
guys,
can't steal it.
we'll get sponsorship money finally.
Finally.
Yeah, all right. You gotta get a brand deal. Yik Yak, can guys sponsor us? No, please sponsor the Washed Athlete Pod. Yeah.
If our first sponsor is Yik Yak, I really don't know what I'm gonna do with myself. Like that would be wild.
Okay,
It
so
would
so maybe like I'm definitely out on it a little bit, but like maybe for viewers and myself, what is Yik Yak?
like proximity.
Yeah, it's like I don't know if anyone remembers like Ask FM or like any of those really old apps from when we were in like middle school or whatever.
Yep.
But like it's like an anonymous like proximity chat where like you can just post the really dumb, or you can post like really like you can make fun of people on here. Like on right now, like the top ones are welcome to Pittsburgh, the city of bridges, and then in parentheses -1.
Oh, that was a good one.
Then the next one's talking about the sorority recruitment that's going on right now.
Right.
And then there's a shot at freshmen wandering South L on a Friday night. Nature is healing. It's just fun to scroll through just to see everyone's like takes on things.
Yeah.
And it has like a similar like system to Reddit, and like you can upvote and downvote people's posts.
That's funny. No, that is a good like point also that like sorority like recruitment is going on right now. So like all these
Yeah.
other people are just like sitting in their room on these like Zoom calls for hours trying to get like picked up by like their favorite sorority and whatnot. And then also at the same time the bridge is collapsing and the bars are getting raided. It's just a whole
Yeah.
Well, it's
Absolutely wild.
It's also interesting because they're supposed to be the sororities dry week, so they're not even allowed to be going out to the bars. Allegedly, they might be.
Allegedly.
Don't know, but I mean, could you imagine if the sororities were allowed to go out to the bars? How many more people would
Oh
have got
my
caught
god.
raid?
That
Now that
would've
you're
been-
saying this, I'm like, this could have been so much worse than it probably like is.
Yeah.
Listen,
Oh,
this
yeah.
could have shut down Greek life at Pitt potentially.
Yeah. Because if
So I guess moving off of the crazy weekend at Pittsburgh, I think we will save our little bit of our podcast left to talk about Tom Brady's retirement.
we're back at football. Let's
Or
go.
alleged retirement
Oh.
from the NFL. So of today, of course, news broke. I mean, when we're recording this, news broke that Tom Brady has retired from football. Now, Tom Brady has come out and said that it is not confirmed that he retired from football, but I generally think the consensus is that he will not be returning to football after 22 years, which is
Longer
it's
than
wild
all of
because
us have been alive.
Andres posted in our group chat today. He was like, "We've never lived in a world where Tom Brady has not been playing quarterback," and
Yeah.
that it's crazy to think that every year. I don't think football will feel any different, but for sure, like the greatest quarterback of all time will not be suiting up anymore.
It's a
Weird,
very
like,
good take by Andres right there.
yeah, because like just think about an NFL, just knowing that Brady's just not playing. You won't see him again in the playoffs or anything. That's just wild.
Yeah. I have a sneaky suspicion that if everybody starts saying like, oh, like Tom Brady retiring, the more people say it, the more I'm like, is he just gonna come back out of spite? Like I'm not gonna I'm not gonna believe that he's retired until this dude is like 85 and like actually just like sitting in a chair, so unbelievably old. It's like, all right, he's actually retired. He's not going back to football.
Just has 50 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And
At that point.
to get the weekly NFL memes quote in,
There we go.
see the picture of MJ when he quoted saying "I'm back," and it just says Tom Brady after being retired for 2 hours.
Yeah,
Just
like
that.
literally. Like
Yeah.
he's going back, he's gonna change his number because someone's gonna take it.
Yeah.
No, he
But-
comes back as number 7 because he has 7 rings. Or number 8 because he's trying to go for 8.
That would be so funny if he did it for that reason. Then he won the Super Bowl.
Oh,
Now I remember a time in which I'd probably would have, been happy to see Tom Brady go. And I mean, I'm just being a Steelers fan. Tom Brady has done things that I haven't been super happy about, but now that he's actually going to leave the
He just
Steelers,
beat your team, Jacob. He didn't do anything like wrong.
well, no, he didn't. But like, just it's kind of like now that he hasn't played the Steelers in an okay amount of time, and like just thinking about how much he did for the game, it's not it's kind of tough to see him go. Just seeing a legend that just like possibly leave the game.
Yeah, I just think it's funny reading all this stuff because now it's like supposedly Tom Brady hasn't told like says he hasn't made a final decision. His dad came out and said he hasn't made a decision, and then like Tom Brady hasn't told the GM, and it's like I just don't I don't even like know. Like apparently he's not even close to making a decision on retirement. So I'm confused how these news sources picked it up, and like I do feel like at the end of the day it will lead to retirement because well I find it hard to believe that these sources were comfortable publishing like this information to get it completely wrong. Like this doesn't happen much. There's very few times where I feel like news sources say something is happening and it undermines credibility. I think Adam Schefter and one of his other colleagues were the first people to put this out, and like it is going to undermine their credibility a little bit if they falsely reported that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And considering how big of a sports figure that he is, like this wouldn't be the guy you'd want to screw up on because I mean it's Tom Brady. Let's say like some guy who's been in the league for like 2 years and he got like injured and he was like an undrafted free agent. If he retired and then it somehow made news, okay, maybe it undermines their credibility, but not nearly the same extent just because he's not as noteworthy.
Well, even someone like Big Ben, like even if you had gotten his decision wrong a little bit, it like Big Ben was still probably a Hall of Fame quarterback to retire, but like not even on the same. Like Tom Brady is undisputedly the greatest football player or greatest quarterback of all time, whatever you want to say there. Like I don't. There's not like there's not much of a claim that he's not. So just to get it completely wrong, and I this year I did not think he would retire, and who knows like what will happen. Like maybe this will age terribly in a week when we record again. But if he is retiring, I did not expect it to come this year. It kind of happened fast. Like there was rumors like the day before the Rams game that he might retire, and I was like, oh, like I didn't think because he's been talking about like I can play till I'm 50 for like the last couple of years.
Yeah, I honestly like I'm not gonna believe anything until I see Brady on a podium speaking into a microphone saying I'm calling it quits. Like I'm not gonna believe anything that's happening because like I mean yeah, Adam Schefter's usually like a reliable source, but I mean if it didn't come from Brady's mouth, I don't believe it.
Even if he says he's retired, I still don't even believe that. Like, I need to see him like get inducted into the Hall of Fame, and then it's like,
Yes.
okay, now he's done.
Yeah, I do know for sure that once he does officially retire, it will be the end. There's no like MJ like I'm retiring, taking 2 years off and coming back because he'll be too old. And like the real reason he would be retiring, I think, is for family. And there's no way he's gonna be like I'm gonna go home and hang with my family for a year. I'll get sick of it and then I'll come back to the football. But it's cool. It's an interesting thing to think about Tom Brady not playing football anymore.
Yeah, and like honestly, I kind of the fact that he is like, if he does retire this year, whatever, he's gonna go out as a 44-year-old quarterback who had pretty close to an MVP season if Aaron Rodgers wasn't playing.
Yeah, he'll come
Easily has gas still left in the tank. But the fact that he is stepping aside from football for family, like I feel like that's a really I really do respect that like as a decision because like as much as I hated him when he played for New England, seeing him go down to Tampa, I kind of have like I had a change of heart because like he actually does seem like a very genuinely good person, and the fact that he is like showing like yeah I could easily do this for another like 5-6 years, but like I've already missed out on so much of my kids' lives. Like his kids have practically like grown up holding the Lombardi trophy. Like
Yeah.
they have been so ingrained into football that like I'm sure that's like probably so hard for them to just like actually grow up. So like for him to step aside and be like, no, I'm going to be a dad now. I'm going to be the best dad ever, whatever. and
And Tom Brady's kids are still quite young considering how old he is. If you think of other older athletes like LeBron James, LeBron James's kids are quite old. Like Bronny's a senior in high school, I think, or a junior. Bryce is entering probably freshman year. I mean, he's one really young daughter, but besides that, like his kids are relatively like old. Tom Brady's kids, I think, are pretty much like maybe early high school, late middle school age. And I think there's a stepchild in there with his wife Giselle. So like I think his kids are like relatively still at age where like he would still like to be present with them. And I mean I respect it because it's not easy when you are prepping all week, then you come back on Monday and you've been hit all week, so you're sore, and then you have to like if you're traveling like say you have a London game or something. You got to go overseas to London, come back, and it's just a lot of time away. And it gets harder and harder. You got to spend more time in that gym when you're a lot older. So hats off to him for a great career. But I think with the last couple minutes how we have left, we'll do a quick round of predictions for the playoffs this weekend. So the Rams will be playing the 49ers in the NFC Championship at 6 o'clock on Sunday. And then on 3 o'clock on Sunday, I think the Chiefs will be playing. Well, I know the Chiefs will be playing the Bengals. So we'll start with Raj. Raj, what are your quick predictions for this weekend?
As I said in the extra cycle, I said that the Bengals are going to make a long run in this, and I'm still hammering the Bengals beating the Chiefs, and I have the Rams beating the Niners. But the Bengals, they're going to make the Super Bowl.
Peter?
So here's what I'm thinking. I love the Bengals. I want them to win, but with the way the Chiefs have been playing, I don't know how a beat up Bengals defensive line is going to be able to hang with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill all firing on all cylinders. So it's going to be a shootout. And I'm absolutely sure that Joe Shiesty is going to be able to keep up with Jamar Chase and all of his weapons. Don't worry. But I think the Chiefs are going to win. I want the Bengals to win. I want to make that very clear. I think everybody in the country outside of like Missouri wants the Bengals to win. Besides Jacob, because he hates them because he's a Steelers fan. But whatever. But yeah, I do think the Chiefs will end up winning. And then Rams Niners. That's tough. I think the Rams are going to win, but I'm not entirely certain. I do think I wouldn't be too surprised if the 49ers did upset them because of how well they've looked or how well they played against some really good teams, and they've just really been getting hot. But I do think the way the Rams have also been playing, kind of like they did beat Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay. They are finally playing up to their potential, and their potential is really, really good. So I do think the Rams are going to end up.
Yeah, I'm next to my screen, so I'll just go. I think the Chiefs are going to destroy the Bengals. I don't think it will be a close game. If you respectfully, I know that Jamar Chase hung a big game up on the Chiefs a couple of weeks ago. The Bengals have scored in the last 2 playoff games 19 points against the Titans and 26 points against a crappy Raiders team that did not play well. They are going to need to score 30 plus points to beat the Chiefs. So unless the Chiefs defense completely folds, the Chiefs are going to destroy them. The Bengals defense is not particularly good. Their offensive line is not good. Chris Jones is going to get right after them. I really do not think this game is going to be close. If it is really close, or if the Bengals win, you can come back at me. But I look at a 19-16 game against the Titans, and the Chiefs are going to score over 30 points in this game. So you're going to need the Bengals to score 30 plus points. And the last time they scored 30 plus points was when they played the Chiefs a couple weeks ago. When their defense was a little bit banged up. I don't think they had Tyrann Mathieu for that game. And they just Bengals, their offense is really good, but they have a lot of games this season where they've scored around mid-20s, which is cool. But you're going Patrick Mahomes averages 30 points in every single playoff game he plays in, besides the Super Bowl games. So again, I don't see the Bengals scoring that many points. And I'm going to take the Rams. I've been rolling with the Rams most of the playoffs. I thought they would lose the NFC Championship game to the Packers, except now an inferior football team is in their place. So I really don't think that. I don't think the 49ers are a better team than the Packers. Packers folded. They always fold. That hurts me because I do enjoy watching the Packers play football. But I think the Rams and the Chiefs are going to win. I mean, I think they're the easy picks. There's a lot of really easy. I feel like these picks this week are pretty easy. Who should win and who would you I don't think anyone would be shocked if the Rams and the Chiefs won. I think talent-wise and experience-wise, it's pretty clear. But it's oh, the 49ers have beat the Rams the last 6 times. That's a little that's everyone's kind of deferring from the Rams now because they're oh, this is a little interesting.
Yeah, Shanahan has McVay dialed in. He knows his game plan.
And if the Bengals didn't beat the Chiefs a couple weeks ago, 4 or 5 weeks ago, no one would be thinking this game's going to be a contest. But it's only because Jamar Chase had 3 touchdowns, 250 yards of receiving that anyone thinks this game is going to be competitive, and that the Bengals have momentum. So yeah, we'll take Chiefs Rams. Not flashy, but I expect both games are going to be. I think Chiefs win by 15 to 20 points, and I think that the Rams will win by like a little over a touchdown.
Hey, you giving us the money line too? That's wild.
All right, Jacob, what are you thinking?
I agree with what you were saying earlier. I do think that the easy picks would be the Chiefs and the Rams. Talent wise, they are the better teams. And Chiefs wise, I'm going to take that. I think that the Bengals will be able to score, relatively well. Because I don't think the Chiefs defense is all that. I mean, Daniel Sorensen is awful. He's so bad. I really just don't think that the Chiefs defense is, like, aside from Tyrann Mathieu and Chris Jones, okay. And I would say that they're just kind of a very below average defense. But I still think that the Chiefs offense will be able to score. I think that they probably won't face as much resistance as they could from the Bengals defense. But with the Niners Rams, I said it on the I did what I had.
You did not say the 49ers are going to the Super Bowl on the podcast.
Yeah, no, I did say that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were going to go to the Super Bowl and win.
That age
But
well.
I did say that the Niners were going to go to the NFC Championship and lose to the Buccaneers. With that being said, I'm riding with the Niners. I've been riding with the Niners, and I'm going to continue to ride with the Niners. So it's going to be a rematch from a couple years ago, Chiefs versus Niners. And I guess we'll have to see, when the game's finished.
If it is a rematch, Bosa is going to be out for blood.
It's a rematch either way. It's a rematch either way.
I'm riding with the Niners again if there's a rematch.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a rematch. Whoever comes out of the NFC, if the Chiefs come out.
Yeah, because then it's going to be the rematch of the greatest game ever played in the regular season of the Chiefs versus the Rams.
Didn't the Chiefs play the Rams in the Super Bowl with Jared Goff?
No, that was the regular season game. It was like 54, 51.
That was when Tom Brady played for the Patriots. I was like, I know the Rams were in the Super Bowl, but that was the year that the Chiefs lost in that overtime AFC Championship game.
It all comes full circle.
All right, Andres, your takes.
All right, so I have the Rams winning. Got to ride with my boy Aaron Donald all the way.
Yes.
Repping Pitt. So got the Rams win. Then I really, for the culture, I want the Bengals to win. I really want the Bengals to win. But the Chiefs are like that. But March Madness last year, I had Oklahoma State winning it when everyone had Gonzaga winning it. So I'm gonna have to say I want the Bengals to win this, and I think that they will. They're gonna pull through. I love a good underdog, and I want to go
To be
against
clear, though, wait, I have
against
something to
Gurn
say.
here. I want to be the odd one out here once again, like for March Madness.
Okay, but just to be clear, you did say during the March Madness saga that Cade Cunningham was going to be the next Luka, and that you said that Oklahoma State was going to win the entire the championship. They did make it to the championship. Gonzaga did.
I'm going to come in here real quick.
There's no way we're getting into this right now.
Before anyone said anything, the next Luka thing was a meme. But I had faith that Cade was actually going to go crazy that tournament. He did the exact opposite.
Yeah, I'll defend Anders a little bit. Cade Cunningham has looked good this year, so don't hate on Cade Cunningham. Listen, next Luka is bold stuff, but Cade Cunningham could be very nice. So don't be hating on it. Give him 2 years. But
he had a terrible take. It was a terrible take.
No, but
it was a joke take, that one.
This weekend should be fun. I think a lot of scenarios would make people happy. I think if the Bengals made the Super Bowl, everyone would be cool with that. I think if there was a Chiefs Rams game, everyone would be hype about that. So I think the only scenario would be a Chiefs 49ers. People kind of be who cares? But otherwise, I think any other matchup is awesome. So should be a fun football weekend, and then we'll almost be done talking about football on the podcast because then we'll have the Super Bowl that we'll talk about, and that's it.
Oh, but don't worry, they'll have March Madness. So
it's great. We'll just
talk about the brackets.
Let's switch it over.
Maybe we can talk about the NBA for once.
Yeah, you're back the best player, Paulo Banchero is the next LeBron in that discussion.
Oh my god!
I'm shocked you know one college prospect.
Yeah, I kind of am too.
All right, boys. We got anything else for the podcast today?
I think I'm good.
All good, yeah.
All right. Well, thank everyone for watching the 5th episode of the podcast. I hope you enjoyed, and I guess we'll see you next time.
Go Bengals.
Peace.